This is the M1 iPad Pro, and this is the iPad mini, and it's pretty tiny. Finally, it has been redesigned, and now is Apple's smallest ever iPad. So I guess it should be called the iPad Really Mini. I have quite a soft spot for the iPad mini, as it was my very first iPad back in 2013, and that tablet changed quite a lot for me. It was very lightweight and portable. I could take it to school, I could play games on it, and I could also FaceTime and connect with my friends during the summer holidays. But since then, the iPad as a product in general has come a long way, with more accessories like the Apple Pencil and more processing power, enabling more capable apps. Coming from the larger M1 iPad Pro and transferring over to the iPad mini, I found I could use my iPad in a whole new way, thanks to how light and tiny the design of this new iPad is. Naturally, the mini became a vertical iPad. I never usually use my iPad Pro like this. The size of that iPad lends itself to horizontal use. However, when used vertically, the iPad mini 6 works perfect as an ebook when using the Kindle app. As well, the vertical format just fits incredibly well into one hand, and then you can take the Apple Pencil and start writing quick notes and jotting things down way easier than on the larger iPads. The iPad mini 6 now brings Apple's flagship feature center stage to the lower price point, previously only available on the 12.9-inch M1 iPad Pro. This feature is awesome for FaceTime calls and Zoom meetings for work. The camera in general impressed me too. This is a 4K video clip shot with the rear-facing camera, and these are some selfie photographs taken on the iPad mini. So this is me filming a video with the selfie camera on the iPad mini, and currently the iPad is in a vertical format, and it looks perfectly fine. I'm looking directly at the camera, and I'm framed in the center of the image. However, if you turn your iPad to the side, you can see the framing is absolutely hideous. This is the center of the iPad screen that I'm pointing at right now, and over here is where the webcam is actually located. Now, if you're looking at the webcam, you can't actually see what's happening on the screen because your focus is so far away. So it means if you actually want to see the response of the person you're talking to within a Zoom meeting or whatever you're doing, you can't actually physically see their facial reaction. And likewise, if you want to look at them when they're talking to you, it looks like you're not looking at them. And this is a problem with every single iPad. The camera is here when really it needs to be here. I was surprised that gaming was easier and more fun on the iPad mini compared to my larger iPad Pro. Obviously, from a performance standpoint, the M1 iPad Pro is superior and has a 120Hz Pro Motion display for smoother gameplay. But when it comes to touchscreen gaming, I had a much better experience with the iPad mini because you have a larger screen than you would on your mobile phone, and you can still twiddle your thumbs around the screen to actually control your character without it being uncomfortable. Whereas whenever I play something like Call of Duty Mobile on the big iPad, trying to use the controls is incredibly difficult, so I always found myself opting to bring an additional controller in order to play those games. Another issue I had with the iPad mini was the placement of the icons. To both sides of the screen, there is a huge amount of wasted space where you could fit so many more icons. And the scaling is that weird that the weather widget is smaller on my iPad mini than it is on my iPhone. And unfortunately, this just makes the whole experience feel unoptimized. Like literally, Apple's just taken the software from their big iPads and crammed it onto a smaller screen, and all the icons just feel a little too close together. The display is not that bad either. It has 500 nits of brightness and is still usable outside. I found that because this iPad is smaller, it seemed to be less reflective when used outside. Unfortunately, there are some limitations to the display. It is only 60 Hz, which for some people is not a deal breaker and could actually be a positive, as it doesn't use as much battery life compared to a 120 Hz display. But the major negative for me is that the display is not mini LED or OLED like the new iPhone 13s. Watching movies that have black bars, the iPad mini screen backlight is very noticeable. This doesn't impact the overall color accuracy, but the black levels could have been a little better. The next issue I had was with Touch ID. Now, this had nothing to do with the performance of the Touch ID. It all worked perfectly fine. Just the fact that I'm so used to using Face ID. Now, whenever I turn any of my Apple devices on, whether that's my iPhone or iPad, I never use the power button anymore. I always touch the screen, and that will turn it on, and then I swipe up to trigger Face ID, and I'm out the habit of actually clicking the power button on and triggering Touch ID. Now, where I can honestly see the iPad mini being perfect for people's workflow is as a companion device. For example, if you buy an iPhone 13 mini, the iPad mini would create a great combination because you have your small phone for day-to-day use, and then you have your larger tablet for streaming and watching video content, maybe when you commute to work. And also, if you're a student, I can see the iPad mini being perfect for the classroom. If you're looking for a screen protector for your iPad mini and you're going to be using the Apple Pencil, you're probably going to want to watch this video next so you don't waste any money.